Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Good evening to all of you, faithful viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's time for the news in the English language. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening: police brutality on civilians in Cameroon has been severely condemned by civil society actors after the video of a police officer went viral beating on a civilian on the highway that was in the northern regions of the country. The Delegate General for National Security has called on its elements to order with severe sanctions. We'll tell you more in this news edition. And as Cameroon moves towards a pivotal moment in its democratic journey, the impending convocation of the Electoral College has ignited a sense of anticipation and expectation within the communities. With the presidential elections just around the corner, the country's citizens are poised to shape their future by electing leaders who will steer the nation's course for the next 7 years. Viewers, those are our lead stories. Details and more when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. To begin with this interesting element, civil society actors in Cameroon earlier on had called on the government to sanction the police officer who brutalized a passenger in an interurban bus in the North region recently. According to Philippe Nanga, one of the civil society actors, the passenger also had his rights, which were somehow violated by the police officer, and we just got information that the said police officer has been called to order, has been sanctioned by Delegate General for National Security. Let's now have the details with Manjikan Gabriel.
Security forces on board a Danai Express bus arrest a passenger requesting for his identification document, but in an attempt to resist, the police officers and the passengers will get into a scuffle, and later the passenger will be forced to sleep flat on the ground while an officer placed his leg violently on his head and another struggling to handcuff the passenger. Civil society actor Philippe Nanga, who watched the video judiciously, says it was a wrong move by the security forces. The authors of the act, are they human? Do they realize that it's a human they are pressing? The man who is having his leg on another human being tells of the new form of violence that can't be described anymore in our country.
Vous dites quand même qu'il y a un niveau de violence qui commence à ne plus être descriptible dans notre pays.
Talking about what must have led to the incident between the civilian and the police officer, Philippe Nanga says a police agent is supposed to present himself according to the law. How do they detect fake officers? It's because we have vigilant people who ask questions, and it ends up to show that they are fake. Or even if it's a police officer, he might not be on duty. The civil society actor is now calling on administrative authorities to sanction the officers concerned, and he be dragged to court.
And the Delegate General for National Security, Martin Bargangele, seems to have acted promptly. He has ordered for the arrest of the brutal police officer and his accomplice in Yagua. We will be telling you more in subsequent news editions. Now we talk something else. Faced with a disturbing security situation in major cities across the country, the government is taking stringent measures to ensure a hitch-free electoral year. This was the objective of the Security and Coordination meeting presided over by the governor of the Electoral region in Kongsamba in the Mongo division. Samuel Jedone Varhadiboa seized the opportunity to call on political parties to respect the law, especially within this crucial period of the presidential election in Cameroon. Lucille Yengu is here reports.
Proximate to the southwest region Kongsamba in the Mongo division of the Littoral region has been facing security threats for the past years due to the ongoing socio-political crisis.
Le Mongo a accueilli bon nombre de nos frères fuyant les troubles sociaux-politiques dans la zone.
This situation has led to an increase in juvenile delinquency and the consumption of hard drugs among youths. To address these issues, especially in an electoral year, the governor of the Littoral region visits Kongsamba for a security and coordination meeting.
As far as this year is concerned by the presidential elections, we have to take the measures before the elections, within the elections, and after the elections. That's why when we have some information concerning some quarters where you have people that are taking drugs and so on, we send the police and the gendarmes just to pick up those who are not obeying the law.
The regional coordination meeting held at the Kongsamba 1 Municipal Council Hall was attended by administrative authorities and traditional rulers. Samuel Dieudonné Ivaha Diboa called on political leaders to
For the political parties, all of them are called to respect the law at the Littoral region.
Despite measures implemented in the Littoral region to combat insecurity, the collaboration of the population is paramount.
I'm recommending our populations to be aware, to give us information on time, because we have to fight against violence, against bandits, against tribalism, and this and that.
At the end of the meeting, the senior divisional officer for the Mongo division, Yves Bertrand Jana, was honored with the Medal of Knight of the National Order of Valor.
And as Cameroon moves towards a very important moment in its democratic journey, the impending convocation of the Electoral College has ignited a sense of anticipation and expectation nationwide. With the presidential election just around the corner, the citizens are poised to shape their future by electing leaders who will steer the nation's course for the next 7 years. Immaculate Fogwe has the details.
Elections approach. The push for change in Cameroon's governance mechanism is gaining momentum. Political and civil society leaders, both within and outside the country, are urging eligible voters to actively participate in the change process. These calls are coming few weeks to the highly anticipated convening of the Electoral College. On the streets of Douala, we spoke to some individuals to get the understanding of this crucial concept.
What I understand by the summoning of the Electoral College is that it marks an end to the registration process and also the mandate of the President of the Republic. Voting is a civic duty, and so Cameroonians need to exercise their rights. The President needs to summon the Electoral College. I encourage Cameroonians to get themselves registered. It is really necessary to vote.
According to political analyst Professor Luizong Isomba, the Electoral College consists of particular individuals charged with specific roles in the electoral process.
The Electoral Code governs the voting process for citizens in various elections, including presidential, municipal, legislative and senatorial elections. According to Article 86, Paragraph 2 of the Electoral Code, the electoral body must be convened latest July 12, 2025. The respect of the deadline is crucial in ensuring the smooth operation of the electoral process.
He goes further to explain that the summoning of the Electoral College marks a turning point in the electoral process, setting the stage for a potential pivotal moment in Cameroon's history.
The convening of the Electoral College sets off a chain of significant events. It opens the door for Cameroonians to be aware of the candidates taking part in the elections. It marks the beginning of the electoral campaign. As the country's electoral process gains momentum, all political actors will engage in intense activities shaping the future of Cameroon through the democratic process.
While waiting for the Electoral College to be convened, Cameroonians are eagerly awaiting the opportunity to shape their country's future as they will head to the polls in October to choose who will govern them for the next 7 years.
Now let's talk about this alleged alliance between some political parties. It's the marriage between the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM, or the ruling party, and the National Salvation Front and the National Union for Democracy and Progress falling apart. Should that happen, what impact would it have on the CPDM? These are some questions provoked by recent set stance of leaders and militants of the two parties, which seem to not be in favor of the CPDM. Babila Jonathan talked with some members of the CPDM and compared their reactions in the report which comes up next.
In the forthcoming presidential election, especially in the Grand North, where it has often harvested most of its votes in past elections, militants of the National Salvation Front of Minister Issa Chiruma Bakari and Minister Bello Buba Maigari's National Union for Democracy and Progress, UNDP, are seen to be pushing their leaders to break away from the CPDM. It is interpreted by some political observers the quest for change, but within the CPDM, it is seen politicking for gains.
You know, politics is a game of interest at a certain point in time. In as much as they may say what they say, but what happens at the end of the day may become different. They are about playing the political game where big boys play, in the sense that they want the stakes to be very high.
I want to tell everyone who is listening to me now that it was just a rumor, it's social media hype, and there's nothing like that. Sabuba Bello Maigari and their party, their union with the CPDM is as strong as ever.
Analysts think a possible separation between the two parties and the CPDM could mitigate the latter's performance in the northern regions. CPDM supporters hold the opinion that it will have no impact on the party.
Our base has always been the north. Do you think they can shake our base like that when we build already a solid foundation?
There's no problem. The relationship is as solid as it ever can be, and it would even be better this time around because special emphasis will be laid on solving the problems of the people of the north.
It remains unclear if Issa Chiruma Bakari and Bello Buba Maigari will stand as candidates for the presidential election in October this year.
And now let's talk about Professors Magloire Ondoa and Jimmy Yap debate on Professor Maurice Kamto's potential candidacy in 2025. Professor Ondoa claims Professor Kamto can't run under the CRM party, while Yap argues that the Constitution guarantees the right to elect and be elected and that Professor Kamto's candidacy is constitutionally valid. The debate highlights the complexities of Cameroon's constitutional framework and the challenges of interpreting the law. For me, Armstrong Sander.
The potential candidacy of Professor Maurice Kamto in the 2025 presidential election under the banner of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party has sparked intense debate and competing interpretations of the applicable law.
Que le mandat impératif est nul.
Guest on a PRC TV program, Face à la République, aired on June 6, 2025, Professor Magloire Ondoa, rector of the University of Douala, categorically stated that Maurice Kamto cannot legally be a candidate representing the CRM party. According to Ondoa, Kamto can only run as an independent candidate, gathering signatures to support his candidacy.
L'Afrique du Sud sous apartheid. Cet exemple illustre parfaitement ce que je suis en train de dire.
In a response, Professor Jimmy Yap, in a viral video shared on Facebook, methodically dismissed his colleague's arguments. He reminded viewers of a fundamental truth in public law, categorically stating that a law can be perfectly legal and yet unconstitutional.
Techniquement, il n'y avait pas de contradiction interne dans leur ordre juridique, mais sur le plan du droit supérieur, ces lois violaient de façon flagrante la souveraineté populaire et les principes démocratiques universels.
Yap argued that Ondoa's reasoning is based on a formalistic reading of the law which ignores the spirit of the Cameroonian constitution. Yap emphasized the right to elect and be elected, the freedom of political association, and party plurality as guaranteed by the January 18, 1996 Constitution in Cameroon. Any hindrance to these fundamental rights, even if covered by an administrative decision, violates the constitutional order, he stated. He cited Articles 7 and 2 of the Constitution, which enshrines political pluralism and the people's sovereignty, respectively.
la pleine expression de la souveraineté populaire.
According to Yap, nothing formally prohibits Maurice Kamto as a Cameroonian citizen from running for office. The problem, according to him, lies in the selective interpretation of text by institutions that are sometimes instrumentalized.
Un citoyen conserve toujours le droit de contester la légalité d'une norme lorsqu'elle viole les principes supérieurs.
Analysts see the clash of ideas between Magloire Ondwa and Jimmy Yap as more than just an academic debate. It's a symptom of a blocked democracy where the battle for respect of the constitution clashes with a state apparatus entrenched in formal legality, often used to neutralize political opponents.
Now let's talk health. Cancer treatment imposes a significant financial burden on the patients of all types of cancers. 43% of the local population is poor in Cameroon, like they live beyond the poverty level. One of the reasons breast cancer is detected at the terminal stage in most cases in Cameroon. And for that reason, the African Alliance for Women's Global Health in Oncology, in partnership with the Douala Regional Hospital, had a 4-day breast cancer boot camp to train health experts on new screening and treatment methods. Mala Glory was there.
Breast cancer remains a killer disease amongst young women in Cameroon. Because of this, health experts are multiplying sensitization campaigns to create awareness. At the Douala General Hospital this Monday, a 4-day breast cancer boot camp was organized by a non-profit organization in partnership with the hospital.
Expose on cancer, especially breast cancer, because it's such a canker worm in our society. For these 2 days, we're going to have detailed presentations on cancer, the treatment of cancer, the various ways that we can treat cancer, like radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and we're going to have 2 days of free breast cancer screening for every woman at the General Hospital Douala.
Because when you come in for screening and you get your tumor identified, when you do not have symptoms, it's a high probability that you will have cure.
Breast cancer, according to health expert, is the first cancer in terms of mortality in Cameroon. 70 to 90% of breast cancer cases are diagnosed at late stages, leading to low survival rates of 30% at 5 years and 13.2% at 10 years. It is for this reason that African Alliance for Women's Global Health in Oncology met at the Douala General Hospital to recycle health personnel on breast cancer management.
By working with the personnel to try and recycle them on the latest trends in breast cancer management.
Yeah, there is a lot of innovation in different disciplines, and in AUGO we are 7 doctors from different disciplines, from in surgery, in radiotherapy, or also in radiology. So we are here to share our experience with our other colleagues.
According to a report published by World Health Organization in 2024, Cameroon has approximately 19,564 new cancer cases, with 65% of related deaths annually.
Now, before we move on to the second part of the news, we tell you that a recent column by Michelle Anshangweng, technical advisor to the Ministry of Justice and former Minister of Public Service, has ignited a heated debate about the state of governance in Cameroon, and Green statements which criticizes the collaborators of President Paul Biya for providing him with false and biased information has far-reaching implications for the country's progress, a cause that can be contextualized and sympathized with major problems in Cameroon, such as the Anglophone crisis and chronic corruption. For me, Armstrong Sandar has more.
The unending Anglophone crisis, which has caused significant human suffering and economic losses, is a stark reminder of the consequences of poor governance in Cameroon, argued by right defenders and critics of the Biya regime. Many argue that the government's delayed response to the crisis and a lack of effective dialogue with Anglophone leaders have exacerbated the situation. A former minister, Ange Michel Angwen's recent outing therefore suggests that the president's collaborators may be responsible for this delayed response by providing inadequate or misleading information to the president, repeatedly projected by his followers as a beggar of peace. Cameroon's economic woes, including corruption, mismanagement of public funds, and inadequate infrastructure have also been linked to poor governance. The country's economy has struggled in recent years, with many citizens feeling the pinch of economic hardship. Angwen's call for transparency and accountability highlights the need for reforms and better governance. Angwen's statement emphasizes the critical role that accurate information plays in informing the president's decisions. By providing false or biased information, collaborators may be compromising the president's ability to make sound decisions, ultimately affecting the lives of Cameroonians. This therefore raises questions about the accountability and transparency within the government system. A senior militant of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, a seasoned politician and a former minister, Ange Michel Angwen's words, observers say, carry weight. His call for transparency and accountability is a bid to promote better governance and decision-making in Cameroon. They insist that the government must take heed of Angwen's warning and work towards creating a more transparent and accountable system.
And now in news out of Cameroon, despite calls for a ceasefire, Israel and Iran continue to engage in missile attacks for the 5th consecutive night so far. The latest reports indicate at least 24 deaths in Israel and 224 in Iran. Over to Zambia, the death of former President Edgar Lungu, who died on June 5, sparked a tense political episode. His successor, Hakainde Hichilema, was excluded from the funeral upon the deceased request. Let's now have a foreign page roundup with Cedric Chakutu.
In Togo, the broadcasting of Radio France Internationale (RFI) and the France 24 television channels are suspended for 3 months beginning from June 16, 2025 by the media regulator organ. They are accused of having relayed inaccurate and biased statements. The suspension comes 10 days after anti-government protests rocked the capital, Lomé. Several recent false information were given, undermining the stability of Republican institutions and the country's image. According to the High Authority for Audiovisual and Communication, this measure follows repeated failings already reported and formally recalled in matters of impartiality, rigor, and fact-checking. The High Authority of Audiovisual and Communication did not mention the content of the statements targeted by the suspension. Elsewhere, Zambian president will not be able to attend the funeral of his predecessor, Edgar Lungu, who died on June 5th at the age of 68 due to an instruction from the deceased announced by the family spokesman. Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema urged unity and peace during the mourning period in an address to the nation on Thursday. He advocated for a state funeral to honor the memory of the former head of state and provide the population with an opportunity to pay their respects. Edgar Lungu came to power in 2015. He was defeated in the 2021 elections by the current head of state, Hakainde Hichilema. His bid to return to power in next year's elections has been hampered by his ineligibility as declared by the Zambian Constitutional Court. And in the conflict between Iran and Israel, there have been exchanges of airstrikes for a 5th day in a row, with the mutual attacks resulting in dozens of casualties in both countries. Meanwhile, Iranian media reported explosions and heavy air defense fire in Tehran overnight. Its armed forces have warned Israel of a new wave of fierce attacks that will intensify today. Israel launched its air war on Iran on Friday with a surprise attack that killed nearly the entire top echelon of Tehran's military commanders and its launching nuclear scientists.
And before we go, viewers, we just got information that several people have been rendered homeless following a fire incident which occurred a while ago. That was at Vallée Bessengue, not far away from Feu Rouge, here in Douala. Residents and also eyewitnesses say the actual cause of the fire is still unknown as at now. Fortunately enough, no human life was lost, nobody was severely injured, and firefighters arrived at the scene on time to put off the flames from propagating to other neighboring buildings. And viewers, that was what we gathered for you this evening on the news on Equinoxe Television in the English language. Thank you so much for always being there. Our programs continue tonight. Equinoxe in about 30 minutes with Sajaleng, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television, and we will all be together again tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.